Hi, everybody. This is Greg Study on Soccer, and I'm here with Josh Auden. Josh is the MASL3 and MASLW league president, and he's also sits on the board for the WMF. So we're going to have some conversation about all of that today. Welcome, Josh. Thanks for joining me today.
Hi, nice to have me on. Thanks for having me on, Greg.
Yeah, pretty exciting to have you on. It was great to meet you at the combine here in San Diego. I'm really stoked to see that you made the effort to come out and take part in that. That was a pretty fun event.
Yeah, the event was awesome out there. It was great to meet a lot of people, make a lot of connections out there. The new arena out there is wonderful. It's a beautiful arena, and like I said, I think it was a great event, and it was a great thing for the league.
All right. So, Josh, let me get started a little bit about just some sort of background, personal stuff. You know, where you're from, where you grew up, where you went to school. Are you married? Do you have kids? I mean, just share a little bit about yourself.
Okay, well, a little bit about me. I'm from a little town in Ohio called Lake Milton. So we're about 30 minutes outside of Youngstown. That's where my team is located, the Youngstown Nighthawks. I went to school, as you can guess, a little high school named Jackson Melton. And then I went to college at Westminster over in PA, Westminster College.
Okay.
I'm currently not married, but I do have a long-term girlfriend. And then other than that,
Yes.
What else would you like to know?
Well, okay, so let's get right into the meat of the conversation. So, how is it that Josh Auden got engaged and involved in arena soccer?
Well, it's a long story. My team, the Youngstown Nighthawks, we started it in 2014. So last year we celebrated our 10th season in the PASL. And we kind of started it in the area just because there really wasn't an avenue to play anywhere. There wasn't an avenue to go to a higher level of soccer, and there was really no outlet in our area. So we kind of started that, and we thought it was a good market. And 10 years later, here we are. And that's kind of how we got it in. One of my good friends at Holmes approached me back in the day. He just started a team because he played in the league when he was younger, and said, "Hey, I think this is a great opportunity." And I agreed with him, and we started the team.
So, this originally was, as far as the teams that you were playing against, this was involved in the PASL. Is that correct?
Yes, that's correct.
So, was the merge, the coming together of M3 and PASL that happened during this off season, is that what got you engaged in the MASL3?
Yeah. Yep. Our merge and stuff. So I've been in the PASL for a very long time, and the opportunity presented itself to work with the PASL and eventually take over that division. And then the MASL, we had the conversation and got everything. The team shifted over there and under the one umbrella. And that kind of was my goal all along, was just the unification of everything, because I think it's great for the sport. It's great for all levels. It's great for the fans and everything.
I agree 100%. It gets a little convoluted and a little confusing when you have different let's just say competing leagues doing the same thing at the same level, but not together. And you guys have over 20 teams in the MASL3 now. Is that correct?
Yes, that is correct. I think we're up to 27.
Yeah, that's outstanding. And they're all over the club, and they're all over. I mean, having. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, no, and I was just going to put a little note in there that I expect it to grow exponentially next year. I think we've had a lot of new inquiries for the upcoming season.
Good.
And we just have had such a great support structure from the higher level leagues, M1, M2. Chris Economies has been great with the M2 and being our commissioner with that. And same with Brian Cushing and Keith Tozer at the top level. They've just been amazing to work with, and it's all contributed to this growth and unification. Yeah,
Josh, the thing is, those guys you just named, they're all top line, right? I mean, they're all state of the art men. They really love the sport, and I'm sure it help you do what you're doing. I know that talking about expansion. I got a message um, on social media, maybe people involved ISL in the Pacific Northwest, and I understand that there's been some communication about possibly bringing them in.
You glitched out a little bit there, Greg. Can you repeat that?
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, some conversation about the WISL up in the Pacific Northwest. There's been discussion with you guys at the M3 level of bringing that in at some point. Is that possible?
Well, anything's possible. We have talked. Those guys are, again, they're a great group of guys. It's a great group that they have out there. John is a great guy. He's running that league out there. He built that division out there. And, we'd always love to have them and always love to grow and bring more people under the MASL umbrella.
Absolutely. And that's been an interesting thing because the WISL, it really is specifically in the Pacific Northwest, and they've got some great teams. Obviously, the lower division Tacoma Stars Reserve is part of that organization as well. Let's talk a little bit. Let me give me a minute because I have to cheat here a second. I want to post something up that is on screen here. Talking about this weekend's games. So one of the things I noticed about the M3 games this weekend is that they are relatively consistently high-scoring games. I mean, you've got, you know what I'm saying? I mean, you've got Houston and RGV 10-8 final. Elizabethton and Brew City are 11-8. So I mean, it's pretty consistent that they're pretty high-scoring games. Is that what you expect to see throughout the season?
Yeah, I mean, you look at the indoor game, it's exciting, it's fun, and it's usually pretty high scoring, especially a lot of these teams, they're pretty intense with each other, and it's very pace, and it makes the game fun to watch, and the high scoring games, I think, are super exciting for everybody that's involved.
I think that's a huge draw for the fans as well.
Mm-hmm.
It's one of those things where a lot of indoor fans, it's like this outdoor game. There's just no excitement in the game. Now I love soccer on any level. So, I mean, for me, I get the different nuances and I love it all, but I get how, a lot of indoor fans just, it's like, I'm just not interested in this outdoor event. It just doesn't, but man, I go indoors and it's, you get, like I'm saying, 11-8 final scores. It's outstanding.
Yep. Yeah. That high scoring and stuff tends to attract more fans, and it's more exciting.
Yeah, absolutely. So tell me, what is the recruit for the MASL3? Where are the teams recruiting their players from?
So a lot of times, and I'll use my team for example, is we get players that come back from college that want to continue their playing career, or players that didn't want to go to college but still wanted to play at a high level, that have played club their whole life, or just somebody that is wanting to try to venture into the next realm of a higher level of soccer. And that's usually where our player pool comes from. And through my years too of having teams, we've had some players that have retired from like the MLS. We've had players that retired from other higher level leagues that have just moved to the area and looked my team up and came to the teams. And that's how I think a lot of teams find their players, as well as too, some of the teams build their players through their academies, their youth academies. And that's kind of, once you grow up and age out of that club structure, it gives them an option to play too.
Absolutely. That's a great answer. Here, let me put this up on the screen. One of the viewers, Jim, is asking you, what is your goal with your team?
With my team?
Yeah.
Well, our team's always looking to grow. We've been around for 10 years. The area in our market supports it very well. And we're trying to, we'd love to grow to the next level eventually. But with us, we want to make sure it's done right and done properly every step of the way.
Yeah, that's a really wise way to look at it too, because I mean, there's a lot of people that have taken professional sports in any, whether it's leagues, teams, on soccer, whatever, that have expanded too quickly, and ended up sort of cutting their own nose off to spite themselves because, it becomes unsustainable. And I mean, you're saying that you've been around, your team has been around operating for about 10 years. So how does your fan base look?
We have a decent fan base. Where we play at
Cool.
doesn't seat too many people. So we get around 200 to 250 fans a game, but that's also all we can take. There has been games that we've had to turn people away because we didn't have enough seating for them. So if we could find a way to get more seating and stuff, I'm sure we could fill it. We definitely have a decent following over the years. So, and our community out here supports us, and it's a great experience and a privilege to be here too.
That's really cool. I mean, it's kind of a double-edged sword, isn't it? I mean, all my seats are full, and I'm turning fans away. But all my seats are full, but I'm turning fans away.
Yeah. So.
That's kind of a double-edged sword, huh? Let's talk a little bit about the MASLW. Is that something of your brainchild? Did you are you part of actually making that happen, or how did that come about?
Well, we brought over all of the women's teams from the PASL and brought them over to the MASLW. And I think it's something that needed to be done. And it's going to, I think, grow exponentially. I'm super excited for it. I'm super excited to see where it goes. All the teams involved, we can call them flagship teams because it's the first year in the MASLW. They all been super supportive. Yeah. Everything's done on time, everything. And it's just been amazing to see everybody come together across the country and that league to come together.
Yeah. So would you say the same sort of story as far as recruiting is concerned for the ladies as for the guys?
Yeah. It goes like, I mean, and I can just speak from my experience, and knowing a bunch of the teams is it generally is through either academy programs or college players and or people that are retiring from a higher level sport and coming and playing, or now the MW is the highest level right now in current league we have. So, that's a privilege to be the president of that and to help grow it and give players an option to play at that level.
Well, and also, Josh, again, there's more than 20 teams in the MASLW as well, isn't there?
Yes, and we're expecting exponential growth here in the upcoming season.
Yeah, I think there's a I don't want to use the word niche, but the women aspect of soccer, I think, is getting a little bit more attention, and I think it's fun to have this option for the women's fans. I'm not just saying women that are fans, but fans of women's soccer can come together and look at this option to the indoor game as well as the outdoor game. I think it gives them that chance to do the same thing that so many of us have done and fall in love with this outdoor game, right?
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. So another thing I wanted to talk to you about, you mentioned that you sit on the board for the World Mini Football. That's for the United States?
So I sit on the board of our team, the USA World Mini Football team. So the men's and women's. The men are getting ready to go to Azerbaijan in May, at the end of May, for the World Cup. And then also we are working on a youth division too. So we will be announcing all that out too as well. So we USA Mini Football, and they play in the WMF, the World Mini Football.
So that's very my first experience. I think there I am. My first experience with the World Mini Football was the very first World Cup here in the United States in 2015, and obviously since then, whether it was in Tunisia or Australia or I believe it was in Ukraine, and during all of those, of course, it's a different game. I mean, it's a very similar size field. It's the same sort of a setup as far as the team is setup is concerned, but it's not indoors and it's not with boards like it was in 2015.
Yep.
Is there any conversation among the other members nations that might bring it back to the United States and have it in that format again?
That I am not sure. I'm sure they are always
Okay.
open to it. I do know that they are building a WMF facility over in Czech Republic. They're building some fields, a very nice complex over there. And I'm looking forward to the growth of that team and organization too, because as you know too, our ladies did just win in Croatia as well.
Yep. And the Czech, I'm not surprised about the news in the Czech Republic, because the Czech Republic has been, finalists or semifinalists pretty much regularly since these World Cups started. I mean, they're a really good team.
Yep.
So that doesn't surprise me to see that they're actively engaged in upgrading their facilities there. Talk about the representation. Now, I'm going to ask you, because in the past, Mexico and the United States have both, the national teams have both been pretty heavily represented by MASL players. Do you expect that to be the continuing theme?
Yep. Yeah, I definitely expect that to be the continuing aspect of how the teams and players are found through the league. And, and that's kind of how we would like it to be and stay, is through the MASL, we get those players selected to play on the national team with the USA Mini World Football Team. And as you know, you were out at the arena when the U.S. played Mexico for a sold-out house out there. That was a pretty amazing game.
Right. Yes. Yeah. They always are. And then one of the things that I really enjoy about that is that when the USA and Mexico play each other, the teams, the players know each other. I mean, these guys, a lot of our teammates, a lot of them have played against each other for a number of years. There's a lot of similarity. There's not it's not like two countries players coming together from opposite or opposing leagues that never played it between each other. These guys know each other pretty well, and
exactly.
It makes for an exciting match every time.
Yeah, a little bit of a rivalry there.
Yeah, just a little. Just a little bit. Well, listen, talk to me a little bit about, you mentioned expansion in both the M3 and MW expectations. Can you share any inside information as to what cities and markets might be part of that conversation?
Well, I mean, we're right now looking to expand all of our divisions, and my goal is to try to get the travel down. Travel is a big thing that's been an issue through the years, and this year it's pretty solid. We don't have people traveling, very far now for their divisions. They're pretty compact now, and we're going to just try to grow off of that and embellish that. We'd love to have teams down in the Carolinas, and definitely out west. We definitely want to grow out west here, and then too, even down in Mexico where we have a team already. Hopefully we can fill that out down there too as well.
Wow. Okay. Well, then all of a sudden, I mean, right away, the first question comes to my mind are these visa issues with players go across the international border playing for what the immigration people apparently don't consider to be a professional sport. But is that different with M3? Is that a slightly different deal with M3?
That I'm not sure with, because I know Chihuahua is in, and we haven't had any issues here for the women, and obviously they have the men's team too. So, I mean, it's just somewhere on that lines there, and we haven't had any issues. So,
yeah, I don't understand the issue well enough to really speak on it. All I see are the results, on the field, and I recall maybe 2 years ago there was a couple of players that had played in M1 for the San Diego Sockers, and because of issues with their visa, they were moved down to M2, and for some reason they didn't have the cross-border problems with M2. They could go back and forth across the border without any issues, or not as serious issues. So I'm not sure why it's looked upon differently at the different levels, but yeah. So that it's just a thing that I love having the Mexican flavor and the Mexican teams and players involved in the basically American League of Indoor Soccer. But that's a disappointing issue when, a team comes across the border and they can't bring their, half their team doesn't make the trip, so they have to, load it, either come short staffed or load it with minor league players or something. It makes it kind of inconvenient.
Yeah.
So one of the things about you're talking about travel expense. So I'm going to guess that the way that you keep that down, of course, is you keep the regular season regional, right?
Yes, correct.
All right. So that leads to the question of what is your plan and format for your playoffs?
Well, I can tell you that we're going to be doing a release here this week for the women's. So
okay,
that for a surprise for everybody, and we are working on the men's too. But right now, the playoff format and stuff is the best out of each division goes, and then we have right now, depending on how the season plays out, there'll be a cycle second seed possibly, just to balance out a division if it's unbalanced. So we want to make sure it's fair, it's equal for everybody, and well, like I said, we're going to be announcing the full format and the full everything for the MASLW this week, and then probably in the next couple of weeks the MASL3.
Okay, all right. Well, that's good news. On that note, do you have any preferences or opinions concerning what M1 is doing with their playoff format this year, putting everything in, bringing all the teams to one venue?
The only thing I'd say about that is, all the owners and everybody get together and they decide what's best for all of them, and East leadership and everything has been exponential. And like I said, they were all going to do what they believe is best for the league and the owners and everybody and the teams.
Yeah, it's not an unusual format, actually. I mean, I know M2 has been doing it. I know before the MASL, the PASL Pro, back when the Soccers were playing in that league, that was the format that they used pretty much at the end of their, the last few years that they were together. They played it in San Diego once. I think they had it in Chicago as well. And bringing all the teams. Back then, of course, what they did is it was a little different because they didn't bring all the teams to one venue. They did the first rounds and the first rounds and quarterfinals. They did at the home courts of the different cities, but then they brought the four finalists, the semifinalists, to one location. So it's going to be a little bit different. One of the things that I find, I don't know, it's kind of a double-edged sword in a way. Is the playoffs don't how you watch NHL or you watch NBA and the playoffs last as long as the regular season. I mean, they just seem to go on and on and on and on. That's a little extreme. But on the other hand, the MASL playoffs seem to just they start and they're done. They're over so fast. I mean, it's like, dang it, I wanted more.
Well, now the good news is good news is we have a bunch more teams now to watch through all the divisions. So, there'll be tons of games everybody can watch, and hopefully get their fill of indoor soccer. And I just think that logistically and everything works out and everything is set in place. So,
okay, all right. And you mentioned that the World Cup is WMF World Cup is going to be in Azerbaijan, and when is that going to happen? In May?
It's going to start the last week of May and go into. It's usually a 3 to 4 day event, and I will get out all the list of teams and everything that are coming there. But I know the U.S. is definitely in, and we were definitely planning to make the trip over there. Awesome. So we're definitely excited for that.
Is that field of teams based on just a desire to go, or is there a qualifying situation that they need to go through?
There is a qualifying situation through the WMF board itself.
Okay, now the United States and Mexico, I mean, do they just go because they are representing North America, or I mean, because there's not really a qualifying round for the United States like there probably is in Europe, right?
So there isn't, but there kind of is. The WMF decides what organization is the one that is issued the license, and that Kevin Milliken is the one that started all that up.
Right.
And he's also on the board of the WMF, the main organization. And they select the teams and the organizations to build it and to represent each country when you go over there. So it's kind of the country's choice of who to bring player-wise and the organization's choice.
Let me see if I get this right. AAS567, is that still the organization behind the national team?
So that is the one that Kevin has for the WMF. Right. Yep. And then now is the team name is USA Mini Football for the team branded. The branding.
Okay. That organization has been by that name now for, I don't know, what, 6 or 7 years?
Mm-hmm.
Maybe more.
I believe so.
Maybe more than that. Yeah, maybe more than that. Well, this is really exciting stuff. I mean, I'm really excited to see the MASL3, seeing the teams come together, the amount of teams that are participating, and kicked off the season here just last weekend.
Yep. Yeah, so and like I said, all the teams, they've been amazing. They've been great. They're all organized. They're all professional. And, they're all been a great pleasure to work with, all the team owners. It's a great shout out to all of them for what they have accomplished this year with, teams, venues, putting their teams together, making sure. So if they're streaming, making sure their streams are all professional. It's just amazing to see it all come together.
Well, that brings up another question. Let's talk about this, the streaming. Is that a requirement for you guys, or is that just something that they do team by team if they want to, or how does that work?
So this year it is not a requirement. We're going with baby steps. We're starting with, a lot of teams do choose to stream, but we do have a set standard for streaming if you're going to stream. Because I always tell these teams, like, we're building a product. They're building a product. They're building a representation of their organization. So, you want to make sure it's quality. And the teams that have done streams, it's always, I don't know if you've watched any, but they are all being quality.
Yeah, they've been pretty good. I've caught the better part of 2 games. So yeah, and it is. You're right. It's a good product, and I'm sort of chuckling here because over the years, I've watched games that were not good products on the broadcast. Yeah. they were lacking a little bit. I mean, you got in a lot of cases, I remember games being broadcast from somebody's phone, and the guy holding the phone was doing some kind of commentary, but also multitasking something else, like maybe getting a water bottle for a player as he gets off the field. A couple of F-bombs, I mean, some language happens once in a while.
Yep, for sure. And that's why we have that standard in there, to make sure those things don't happen.
Oh, shoot. And I mean, it's really funny because, and you can get it from my response, my actions right now. I get a little frustrated because, I mean, that I'm constantly negotiating posts on social media, and I get a little, I mean, I laugh. It's so funny. I laugh when I get these, these people will start, head bumping each other online, and making it all some big issue, and it's like, guys, come on, just have a little bit of patience, and let's have some fun with this, because this is what we've got, and we want, and it's growing. There's no doubt about it's better. It's a better product all around. I mean, from start to finish, it's a better product now than it was 10 years ago. And and it may not be what it was 50 years ago or 45 years ago in the original MISL or the NPSL back then. But that was a different time. That was a different world, and I was part of that. I mean, I was there. I was watching all of that. I was enthusiastic about it. I thought it was going to go on forever and launch like crazy, and things happened, and it didn't. But I mean, here we are now, and I appreciate you, and I appreciate the guys, the back office guys, the front office guys, the owners. I mean, one of my things, and I know anybody that's watching this has heard me say this before, but it's no secret, that my favorite team is the team I followed, all my life, is the San Diego Sockers. But my second favorite team is who's ever on the field against the Sockers, because without that team, we don't have a league. Without the opposition, right? I mean, without that opposition, without the other guy, we don't have anybody to play against, and then we don't have a sport. And so, you guys, what you're doing at the level you're doing it, and then at the level that the owners and the commitments that are being made on that level, and then of course the players. Are you kidding me? I mean, we've got some of the most skilled and talented players, and I'm excited to see the M3 players, if it's something that they want to do and move forward, and if they're young enough to continue going forward and advancing through the M2 and M1 and all that kind of stuff. It's pretty fun.
Well, that kind of is our goal, is to be able to build that pipeline to help all the teams out, spread awareness for the sport, right. And give those players a chance to be able to go to those tryouts and stuff. And if they want to build their career and get to the M1 level, there hopefully will be an opportunity presented to them.
So one of the questions that is brought up frequently during the off season, more often than not, is when a team in M2, for instance, finishes by winning the championship. All right. And then there's questions often about why doesn't that team move up to M1? Can you address this? In the outdoor world, it's called relegation. So, I mean, can you talk about that at all?
From what I would say is it comes to owner's discretion, and like I'll route back to the whole product mindset. Whatever best fits for their team or their product or their image or their views or logistics or whatever it comes back to, that's at their discretion. And that's where, if they're happy where they're at or they want to try to build to the next level, that's up to them.
Right. Obviously there are some standards that they have to take into consideration, like the venue, broadcasting requirements.
Yeah, and that all goes into the logistical aspects of everything too as well. But I think Chris has done a phenomenal job with the M2 guys. Those teams are awesome. Their streams are awesome. I think they do great. They've really grown over since M2 came out. It's really filled out as a league and really is embellished as a league. So I think it's all moving in the right direction.
Yeah, I mean, it is. It truly is. And focusing a little bit on M2, it's really exciting from where I'm sitting because the West Coast is back again. Last season, the teams here didn't. Turlock wasn't on the field. San Diego and Empire didn't have a team. And now it's going to be fun because those teams are back on the field, and it's going to be. And like you say, it's filled out a lot. To where now it's back to being a coast-to-coast league.
Yep, exactly. And I think it's going to continue to grow. I really truly believe in my heart that it's going to continue to grow, and it's going to continue to expand and do great things here.
All right. So one thing I want to be sure not to miss in our conversation today is I want to introduce Auden Technologies as a sponsor for Study on Soccer, and I want to thank you, Josh, for being a part of helping us get this back online again. We're going to commit to at least a minimum number of broadcasts, and I'll probably do far more than that minimum, but at least a minimum, and keep this thing going. So I want to appreciate you and thank you very much for the sponsorship. Tell us a little bit about what Auden Technologies is, Josh.
So Auden Technologies, I founded the company Infi underneath there back in 2009. We're a telecommunications company, so we do everything from cabling in box chain stores, security cameras, alarm systems, to full MSP management of servers, networks, and everything all the way down the line.
Outstanding. So how long has it been around?
Since 2009.
Wow. That's pretty cool. And
Yeah.
things going well?
Yeah, things are going very well. We are definitely growing. COVID kind of put a little kink in the road, but we're back. We fully recovered from everything, and we're fully rolling down the road again. And and good, plenty of work. So we're definitely running at full steam.
So are you pretty much regionally out of the Ohio area, or have you gotten national or expanding into other regions?
We do the Midwest and Northeast mainly, unless there's like some big build out or big project out west, and we'll go for, depending on the size of the projects, we'll travel for.
So I hit a little glitch there. Okay, so one of the things that I wanted to talk to you about this before we went online, and just a little reassurance, because I know it's not very noticeable, but just so you know, on each one of our broadcasts, we will make a spot for Auden Technologies and let it be known that you guys are graciously sponsoring the broadcast on Study on Soccer. And I will be working on making the logo in the upper right-hand corner of everybody's screen a little bit more obvious, so they can see who's actually behind the financial support of sponsorship for Study on Soccer broadcasts. So thank you very much for that, Josh. You know, I have a way with considering personalities and relationships important. Oftentimes when you meet somebody, it's not hard to know that you either, nah, this isn't somebody I really want to get along with. I mean, they're just in a different place than me. Or on the other hand, yeah, absolutely. Here's a guy that really just, has got it going on. He's got his head on straight. And I want to say that when I met with you, that was, instantly comfortable in your company. And I appreciate you very much for what you're doing here at M3, MW, and the World Mini Football. Jumping in hardcore, buddy. I mean, you obviously obviously you've been at it for a little while, but I'm just really fired up to get a chance to know you. And thank you so much for coming on board today.
No problem. Thanks for having me here. And it was great meeting you too out there as well.
Is there anything you'd like to add?
Just a simple thank you to everybody, to all the teams that have trusted us this year, and to my amazing staff on our back end, Chris Economies, Brian Cushing. Brian Ackley's been amazing with all the articles and stuff he's been posting. And then also Keith Tozer and the MASL1 board. They've been nothing but helpful and helped us with the unification, and any questions that we had, we get immediate answers for, and they've just helped been that guide for us. So it's just been a privilege and honor, and a blessing to have all those people that help us do this and bring everybody under one roof.
Well, Josh, have yourself an outstanding week. Thanks again for joining me today. Josh Auden, MASL3 and MASLW league president, along with sitting on the board for World Mini Football. We just love you, buddy. Thanks again, and hope to see you soon, buddy.
Yep. Thank you. Bye.
All right, man.